Hey guys. So I've got this weird wide angle thing I discovered, but it makes my proportions look a bit funny, kind of fisheye. I don't know. Anyway, I have a mic, so hopefully you can hear me better and it's not just my fan. There's my air conditioner that's probably running in the background chugging away. Um oh, crumb. Um just got out of a session with Laura and she was tough on me today, but I needed it because oh, how do I say this? There are times where I try to keep arguing with my dad when the best thing to do is just walk the fuck away. And because I told her about an argument that we got into, and she's like, "But was that necessary?" And honestly, it wasn't. It really it wasn't. He was just being asinine, being belligerent and being rude because I was happy and he didn't like that. And she reminds me over and over consistently that he's going to do that. And nothing I say or do is going to change him because he's a petulant little kid inside. Reading my notes. He's the little bully on the playground. And he's been allowed to do it for his whole life, basically. And I need to learn that sometimes he drops bait to start an argument because he wants to feel powerful. And that if I just walk away, I take that power away. It's like Sarah in Labyrinth, where she tells Jareth, "You have no power over me," and that defeats the labyrinth. This huge web of deceit and confusion, and just telling this scarily sexy guy that no, you don't actually have power over me, just diffuses his ability to keep manipulating her. But it's not a one and done thing. I have to do it over and over and over and over. But I've been programmed to accept that abuse, and I need to remind myself that no, that's not normal behavior, that's not okay behavior, and I don't have to take that shit. And also, I've got to remember that taking care of myself is not selfish, because if we neglect ourselves, we die. That's what happened to my mom. In a way, she would go to a doctor when she started having untoward symptoms that would have caught the cancer that she had when it was really really small and easy to just boop, be gone. She caught breast cancer early in 2003, the same year my dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's. But she also neglected my health, and that's what's painful. And when I tried to say, well, I can just have Marcy take me to the doctor, the dentist, whatever, she's like, don't you dare. I don't want to listen to her scream at me for not doing it. And back then, I was still in the mindset of my parents are always right. So, I'm like, well, doesn't Medi Cal cover it? No, we can't afford it. Well, when I was 16, I was told that my teeth are soft, just like both of my parents. My mom, she had no front teeth. She wore denture. My dad got his front teeth capped, and they look fine, and it saved those teeth. I look like a zombie, and I'm sure you've seen glimpses of it and wondered what's going on. It's tooth decay because my own teeth are betraying me. It's not from a lack of taking care of them, because I brushed, I flossed, and this still happened. They still got disgusting. And it's horrible. And, once Marcy gets my dad put somewhere, gets me settled, she's going to take me to a doctor, to a dentist, and just get me taken care of in ways that I haven't been for decades. Because my mom wouldn't take me anywhere except for my psychiatrist, Dr. M, to get my dextro and then later the sertraline, because legally I had to keep seeing her in order to access those meds. So that was a necessary evil to her. So she would take me just to get it done so that I could keep taking my meds. But beyond that, she wouldn't take me to doctors, dentists, none of that. And if I tried to ask, she would blow up at me. And in the last several years of her life of caregiving for my dad, she turned into another version of him. And the way she would act and just explode emotionally took me back to when I was a kid. And so it's like she took those old wounds and pulled them up to the surface again. So I started to fear and walk on eggshells around her the way I would around dad when I was younger. And like suddenly the safe parent was no longer safe. I no longer had a safe parent. And so I've just been kind of tiptoeing around my life, just hoping I don't make somebody angry. And Laura is teaching me that someone being angry is not the worst thing in the world. You know, if they get angry with you, that's their problem. Because if you didn't do anything to hurt them and they're getting angry at you, that's on them. You know, if I said something mean that hurt their feelings or I broke something important to them, then yeah, they'd have the right to be angry. But to just be angry at me for being me, for needing things, for having human needs, that was wrong. And what hurts about it is that it's affected my memory of my mom, because I want to remember her as, sorry, I'm emotional. I want to remember her as the kind woman that I knew growing up, not as someone that was just so mean and explosive with her anger. But in the end, she just felt so uncared for, and it didn't matter how much I said, I love you, I care about you. She didn't seem to feel it. And I feel like my dad is part of the reason that happened to her. And I told Laura, what if my breakdown, what if my breakdown in 2023 finished breaking what dad had already cracked? And Laura put her hand up and she's like, no, none of what happened to her was your fault. Because I mean, I was getting to a point where I'm saying, you know, what if I caused her cancer? And like, that is complete nonsense. Her smoking cigarettes for her entire life is what caused the cancer. It wasn't me. It wasn't anything I did or said, because that's just not possible. Words cannot put cancer into someone's cells. Okay? That's just a mutation of DNA that just goes completely awry, and cells wander off and try to do their job in the wrong place. You know, that's basically what cancer is. But once we get dad figured out and get me moved out and settled, you know, I'm going to start looking into getting myself taken care of. Laura wants me to do it right away, but Marcy's back in school. She's a teacher, because they start early. They start in today, August, and they end in May. So Marcy's kind of upset that, you know, he's not in a facility yet, you know, because all the bureaucratic bullshit has just moved so slowly, you know. I just don't want to be here at Christmas. That's all. I don't care if I'm moving on Christmas. I really don't freaking care. But, you know, it's just so hard trying to keep two people alive. And one of them is someone I really just hate, and it's not myself. I've learned to not hate myself. I'm neutral to myself right now. I'm working on loving myself again. I I feed her, I clothe her, I bathe her, I brush her teeth, I brush her hair, I keep her glasses clean, and when I say that, when I speak in like third person, what I mean is my future self, in the next second, and the next second, and the next second. I'll make food and be like, this is for future me because I love me. So, but the years of neglect and realizing that mom didn't take care of me like she should have is painful. And when I was a little kid, nobody had diagnosed my autism yet because I got diagnosed when I was 15. That was 1995. I'm 46 now. Um, Marcy's experience of growing up was I got coddled and babied, and she was just kind of pushed to the side because she was the more independent one, and I had all these needs. And Marcy came and said, now you know how I felt growing up because of the way mom would treat you compared to dad, because she would coddle and baby him and then push me aside because she could only deal with one dependent person, and the more dependent he got, the less I seemed to matter to her. And she would say that's not true, but her actions were different than her words. Her actions of not listening to me when I said, I need dental care. I need to go to the doctor. I need to get a med check. I don't even know who my primary doctor is because it's been so long that the one I was seeing before everything went to hell is retired. Dr. Dito. She's no longer working. So I got to figure that out. And Marcy's probably going to take me to her dentist, but I don't think anybody realizes the nightmare that my mouth is. I'm going to have every single tooth pulled and get implants or something. I don't want ventriloquist dummy dentures. Those big cakey looking things. I don't want those. I'd rather have the permanent implants. But those are out the ass expensive, and I'd rather be fucking toothless. Because those full dentures, you don't taste your food, and like you used to, they can change your voice, and as a singer, that's terrifying. Um, and also they can cause more bone loss. I've probably got tons of bone loss in here because I've had abscesses that have come and gone, and I've just kind of suffered with them. And I know that's life threatening, but mom would still say, just take an aspirin and put some ice on it. Like that was a reaction to me having a golf ball sized swelling on my face. Like, and I just took it as normal because when you grow up with abuse, you see it as normal, and that, well, maybe everybody's parents that way. No, they're not. If your parents are mean to you, that's not normal. If your parents don't pay attention to your medical needs, your dental needs, your mental health needs, that's not normal. So, yeah, today was a hard session. I feel really tired because I expended a lot of emotional energy and I expressed things that I was scared to. And you should always express these things to your therapist. So, and Laura's probably going to jump down my throat about not getting a dentist sooner, but, really, it has to be, we got to get my Social Security crap settled first because I need to be able to pay for it because Marcy's my payee. She would be the one that has to pay. She'd have to write the check and all that. And right now, I don't have the money. And dental care is expensive. I don't know what Medi-Cal will cover in terms of, dental needs. I don't think they cover implants. I might have to do a GoFundMe or something in the future. I don't know. Good Lord, this video is almost 15 minutes long, and I'll bet nobody's watched it this far. But anyway, if you did, tell me Godzilla's hot. That way I'll know. So take care of yourselves, and don't neglect yourselves just because other people neglect you. Okay? Alright? Love you.